During the years, football has seen some of the greatest players ever touch the field, from unbeatable defenders to genius midfielders. However, no individual position ever summed up the game as much as strikers do. These athletes, always on the front line, have the supreme duty of ensuring that the ball hits the back of the net. Any error or miscalculation can lead to disastrous consequences. Today, we'll be looking at 15 of these great warriors and together trying to figure out some of their best seasons, where they resulted decisive for their teams and earned their places as the world's best. Now, before we get into it, I have to, as per usual, clarify a few things. It's never easy with me, is it? I'll be only considering players from the 21st century, because before that, it's much harder for me to boast stats and results. So these are all people that have played at least once in the 2000s. Second, the names I have on this list are from Score90's Instagram posts about the top 30 best strikers in the 21st century. I'll link the specific post down in the description if I remember. The order has been rearranged based on a few criteria, but the names on it all feature from their list. Finally, I haven't put them in terms of who I think is the best. This is all based on stats and the order isn't absolute. Sure, there is one, but it doesn't mean that one player is stronger than the other. This list is not based on individual strength alone. Don't destroy me in the comments, please. I checked every player's season and came up with several years where the specific player performed well. Out of those entries, I picked out 3 campaigns where I think they've performed better and put them on a podium. So for each one, I will state how many years I took into consideration. This is all for fun and a video I thought could be very interesting. A lot of research went into this and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. We start off with David Villa. The former Spanish striker did not have a big pool to pick from. He had 5 potential seasons but only 3 can make the podium. So bronze medal to his 2008-09 year. Of course, a particularly glorious couple of months for Spanish football as Barcelona won the treble, but without the forward as at the time he was playing for Valencia. Throughout the season he featured 43 times with 31 goals and 8 assists, finishing 7th in the Ballon d'Or standings. In that period, only one player outscored him, the Barcelona forward Samuel Eto'o. He finished 3rd in the race for the Spanish Golden Shoe, the acclaimed Pichichi, recording 28 goals in the league, the best tally from a player at La Mestalla. It would also not be the last time that this season is featured today. Silver medal would see the 2010-11 campaign. Already a Barcelona player, he would play 52 times, score 23 and assist 12 more, winning the Champions League, the La Liga and the Spanish Super Cup, scoring important goals like the one against Manchester United in the final. He also went on a streak of assisting or scoring at least once for 9 games in a row, finishing joint 5th in the standings for the top goalscorer of the league. However, alongside Fernando Llorente, he was the only player to score all those goals from open play, as he never took any penalties. A solid year, but the winner for me was the one in between these 2 seasons. The 2009-10 campaign, Villa was still a player at La Mestalla. This, by comparison, is not his best year for goals scored as he only managed 28 and 2 assists, miles behind his 39 contributions from 2009. But he was crowned champion in the summer at the World Cup in South Africa, as he scored in 4 of the 7 games. He was decisive in all the times he found the net, as his brace against Honduras won the game. 3 more goals against Chile, Portugal and Paraguay saw them narrowly scrapped by, proving to be vital to the Spanish team. He also finished 1st in the top scorers chart, sharing the reward with Thomas Müller, Wesley Sneijder and Diego Forlan, being once again nominated for the Ballon d'Or in what would prove to be his final year in Valencia. So that should give a pretty good idea on how we're approaching this. In front of Villa, we would have another strong Spanish striker, one most Liverpool fans still remember fondly, as the second player we'll be studying today will be Fernando Torres. El Niño. Like Villa, the years it took as good enough for only 5, but it's not about having the most good seasons, it's about having the best ones. 3rd place goes to 2003-04, his big break at his boyhood club Atletico Madrid. He scored 21 times in 40 games. He still hadn't found his groove in assisting his teammates, but he was a joint 3rd highest scorer in the league and was named the club captain in his 4th season at the club, and his 2nd where he was really deployed. He would help Atletico qualify for the Intertoto Cup, which at the time was a summer competition held for teams that didn't make it into the Europa League or the Champions League, sort of like the modern Conference League. Not a bad year for El Niño. For the best of the rest, we would see the 2009-10 season. Already for the second time, also transferring countries as Torres would be tearing Anfield apart. He would be a welcome addition to the Reds, but injuries meant that this wasn't the season where he could give the most, as he had to sit out several times. In 32 games, he still managed 22 goals and 4 assists. For a short while, he was the top scorer in the Prem, and he won Player of the Month in September of 2008, with a brace and a hat-trick in back-to-back games against West Ham and Hull City. Also, for the second consecutive year, we would see him feature in the FIFA Pro World 11, and he would break the record for fastest player to reach 50 goals, ending the year as Liverpool's top scorer despite missing out on 16 games in the league. Not the most fortunate of campaigns for El Niño, but a good season nonetheless, as he got 20+ goals again, already managing to do so another time at Liverpool, in 2008, which unsurprisingly is the winner for him. His debut season at Anfield in one of his best years, as he scored 33 times and added a further 5 assists on top, playing 46 games. He was named for the first time in the FIFA Pro World 11 and placed 3rd at the Ballon d'Or, being inducted into the Premier League Team of the Year. In the summer, he would also have his crowning moment, lifting the Euros and scoring the winner in the final against Germany. Not the most flashy of players, but one that gets the job done, and sometimes it's important to have people like that. He will go on to have some unfortunate seasons at Chelsea, but what he did at Liverpool still remains etched in the magical ground at Anfield. Finally, after 2 entries, we have our first player not from Spain, as Andriy Shevchenko takes up the position in front of them. The Ukrainian responsible for some magical seasons at Milan, with 7 possible years to choose from. His bronze finish would also coincide with his debut at San Siro, having just signed for €25 million from his boyhood club Dynamo Kiev. With 29 goals and 8 assists, he became only the 6th player to win the Serie A top scoring charts in his debut campaign. Milan would see an unsuccessful season, and that is partly the reason why it is so low on the podium. The second place would arrive the following year as he started to become more and more important at Milanello. He was a regular feature on the scoresheet, appearing 34 times and making his teammates do so 5 times. His 24 goals in the league, however, would not be enough to beat Hernan Crespo's tally, as Sheva failed to repeat the golden shoe. He was also proving to be important for the Ukrainian national team, as at the World Cup qualifications he scored in 7 of the 10 games he played, ending with 9 goals and the top scorer of the qualifiers, alongside the Danish striker Ebbe Sand. He continued to be a crucial player in Milan, however. For the following 2 years his output started to decrease, as he only managed to score 17 and 10. But we all know it, Sheva was just silently continuing to improve, and that showed in 2003-2004, his best year in Italy, and also probably of his career. 29 goals and 4 assists, not really missing any league games, as only twice was he not featured on the lineup for match day. The Rossoneri had won the CL the previous season, beating rivals Juventus in the final, which qualified them for the UEFA Super Cup, which they would win, with Sheva scoring the winner. He would be crowned with the 2004 Ballon d'Or, becoming the 3rd Ukrainian player to win it after Oleg Blokhin and Igor Belanov, both achieving this feat with Sheva's boyhood club Dynamo Kiev. And so, we have the first of our 3 Ballon d'Or winners from this list making an appearance. The Ukrainian's career would turn out to be a successful one, with him to this day still regarded as one of the strongest strikers to have ever played in the Serie A. And now once again we have to return to Spain to complete an unlikely trio, this time on the other side of Madrid, the one associated with the Bernabeu. For some of the older fans you might remember him well, and for those who don't know, I'll describe him like this. He was Mr. Champions League before Mr. Champions League was a thing. I'm talking of course about Raúl González, the top scorer in Champions League history up till the Messi-Ronaldo era. In the years where they were going back and forth, it was his record they were trying to break. Our 3rd Spanish striker on this list, also the one with the most seasons to choose from up till now, as he has 9 of them. The bronze position goes to the 2002-2003 campaign. He became the captain of Real Madrid with Fernando Hierro's transfer, winning the UEFA Super Cup, beating Feyenoord in the final. He would score 9 times and assist a further 6, leading Real to the semi-finals in the CL. He also guided them with 16 goals and 12 final passes to Los Blancos' 29th league title. During this year, he reached 200 career goals in all competitions. If this sounds good, wait till you hear the other ones. For the silver medal, we have to travel back in time, approximately 2 years. He featured in 49 games, seeing his name on the scoresheet 32 times. He was crowned a top scorer in La Liga and the Champions League, and also voted best striker in the competition for the 2nd consecutive year. At the end of the season, he came in 3rd for the European Golden Boot, But his 24 goals in La Liga would see Real Madrid lift the league title. A season to remember for the Spaniard as he proved decisive in several competitions. For the winner, we would again have to travel back a further 1 year to May of the 2000s, where we would see the Spanish striker lift his third Champions League in 5 years, becoming the first player to score in 2 finals of the competition. He would also be crowned again the best forward of the tournament and top the charts for goals. But his 17 strikes in La Liga wouldn't be enough to see him win the Pichichi, as Real Madrid finished a disappointing 5th. Overall, during the year, he would score 29 times and assist a further 13, making this also one of his best seasons, as only on one further occasion did he score more. Raúl retired a Los Blancos legend and remains one of the few great players to have created a lasting legacy at the Bernabeu. He is still one of the club's all-time top scorer and one of the players with the most appearances to this day. Now, if we're talking about club legends, the next one is probably very familiar to everyone, especially if you support a team in red. I'm talking of course about the wonder boy Wayne Rooney, who with only 5 entries is tied for one of the lowest amounts of seasons. However, in those 5 years he managed to get 35 contributions 4 times. Taking the final place on the podium is his 2009-10 season. He scored 34 goals in 44 games, assisting a further 6. During the season, he became the 20th United player to reach 100 goals, also scoring his first poker for the club in January against Hull City, with 3 goals in 10 minutes. At the end of the year, United would claim the League Cup with Waza scoring in the final, and would also finish as the PFA Player of the Year. He would not be crowned top scorer in the Prem as he missed out by 3 goals. But fast forward 2 years and again he would put in a season with 34 strikes, this being his best year all time as he edged out by 1 his previous record in 2009-2010, this time assisting 7. United would win the Manchester Derby against City for the Community Shield. During the year he would reach his 150th goal for United, also surpassing Mark Hughes and Joe Spence in becoming their 6th all-time top scorer, with back-to-back hat-tricks against Arsenal and Bolton. He played his 500th career game and scored the winner in the infamous game at the Stadium of Light against Sunderland, seemingly clinching the title, but we all know how that went. The 06-07 campaign, however, takes the gold, one of his best seasons since arriving at United. Throughout the year, he found the back of the net 23 times and helped his teammates to do so a further 15. However, it seemed to have started downhill for him, as aside from a brace in the opener against Fulham, he went on a 10-game streak of not scoring, before going back to the usual ways with a hat-trick again towards Bolton. He would end the season on 14 league goals, with United winning the title and making it to the end of several competitions including the FA Cup, where a goal in extra time from Chelsea made the difference. Wayne Rooney would go on to accomplish tremendous things with the Red Club from Manchester, before retiring in 2021 after some unsuccessful seasons. It's safe to say that his managerial career still hasn't taken off, as at the time of recording he has just been sacked again by Plymouth. But at 39 he is still young and more than capable of turning this around, as he has demonstrated various times throughout his career. Now we're forced to stay in Manchester, this time changing colours as we go to the blue side of the English city. We arrive at the Etihad Stadium, home of the citizens, because our next entry is Erling Haaland, who despite his young age has 5 seasons to choose from. Only 1 year out of his entire career has not been taken into consideration. Third place is the 2020-2021 campaign. Throughout the year he was already garnering attention for being a very interesting player. In his 41 appearances he scored the same amount of goals, adding 12 assists to it. If not for injuries, he could have played much more as he was crowned Player of the Month in November, finding the back of the net 5 times. He became both the youngest and the fastest to obtain 20 goals in the Bundesliga, needing only 40 appearances. Despite Dortmund exiting in the quarterfinals, Haaland won the top scorer of the Champions League and was named its best forward. He was also Player of the Season in Germany, scoring 14 different braces and going on a 7-game streak of goal or assists. Overall, a bronze finish that is better than the winners for some players, and we've only just begun. His second place actually might surprise you, as it comes from the year before, his 2019-20 season. This is also the only entry that has played for 2 different teams throughout the same year, as he was a Salzburg player before signing on at Borussia Dortmund. Throughout the 40 games, he scored 44 times and assisted 10 more, netting his first 2 hat-tricks in the span of a month, before adding on another one a few weeks later in Austria. In his first 7 league games, he scored in 6 of them, with 11 goals, also scoring in 5 out of the 6 Champions League games he featured in, becoming the first player to net a hat-trick in the first half on competition debut, and only the second to score in his first 3 consecutive games in the Champions League as a debutant. He was also the 5th player to score in the first 5 games of the CL and obviously the only teenager to do so. In January, he would transfer to Dortmund, signing on for 20 million. In the few months at Salzburg, he had already accumulated 5 hat-tricks, which he added 2 on his debut at Dortmund, where he scored another one. Because of course he did, becoming the second to do so, and the only one to score 7 times in his first 3 games. And this wasn't even his best year, which of course I had to give to the 2022-2023 season. The treble winning one, as he played 53 times. In his debut season at Manchester City, with a lot of people doubting him and his capability to fit in the Guardiola system. He scored an amazing 52 goals, one of only 4 players to break the 50 milestone on this list. In his first month of football in England, he scored 10 times, with back-to-back hat-tricks again, becoming the fastest to do so as he only needed 4 days. He also became the first player to score multiple goals on his CL debut for 3 different teams. He would also score 3 consecutive hat-tricks in home games, as he managed to repeat against rivals Manchester United. To add to this long list of records, he also claimed the achievement for most goals in a single CL match, scoring 5 in City's 7-0 thrashing of Leipzig. In March, he broke the club record for goals scored by a single player when he hit his 39th, also breaking the record for highest amount of goals in all competitions, which was previously at 44. This spectacular season would see him break a long-standing milestone held by Alan Shearer, as he became the player with the most goals scored in a single Prem campaign, although admittedly on a few more games. He would finish as a CL top scorer and named UEFA Men's Player of the Year, and would also win the PFA Player of the Year. An incredible season for the young Norwegian. He is still currently employed at City. Even if the team is struggling, he is trying his best to get them back on winning ways. Another striker notorious for his immense strength is Samuel Eto'o, and oh, what a coincidence he is the next name on the list. He has, however, the least potential seasons to pick from, with only 4. On the 3rd step of the podium, his final year at Inter Milan, and also probably the last season he was really at the peak of his powers, the 2010-11. 365 days after the historic treble, playing 53 games, Eto'o would add to his trophy cabinet an Italian Cup, a Super Cup, and the Club World Cup, where he was also named the player of the tournament, with a new record seasonal output, scoring 37 times with 16 assists, finishing 3rd as the top goal scorers behind Edison Cavani and Antonio Di Natale. For the silver medal, we have to again rewind the clock to 2005. At the time, young Eto'o was playing for Barcelona. This year, he did manage to win the top scorer as he took it home with 26 goals. The Blaugrana would complete the double of Champions League and La Liga, with the Cameroonian voted as UEFA's Forward of the Year, scoring 6 goals all the way to the final, including 1 to level the scoring against Arsenal. He became the 2nd African player to win FIFA World Player of the Year, ending the season with 34 goals and 10 assists. A very successful campaign. However, the win has to go to 2008-09, as he won the treble with Barcelona, forming a super trio with Henry and Messi, scoring 100 goals. We'll talk about one of them again later. He broke the record for the fastest hat-trick in club history with 3 goals in 23 minutes in a win against Almeria. Despite falling out with new manager Guardiola, he would reach his 100th league goal for the Blaugrana and would narrowly miss out on the Pichichi trophy by 2 goals to the Uruguayan Diego Forlan. He would also wear the captain's armband for a few games. To this day, he remains one of the best strikers to have played for Barca in the 21st century. His capability in reaching 100 league goals for the Blaugrana, despite the short period he was there, proves just how good of a player he was. There's a lot of back and forth between the same clubs, probably because the best are attracted by the greatest. So once again, we remain in Spain, and for the 3rd time we have to go back to Madrid, at the Bernabeu once more, because our 8th candidate is none other than Ronaldo. Not Cristiano, but Il Fenomeno. Like 4 other players, he has only 5 entries to his name. Now, I must make a small confession. On Score 90, he was actually rated 1st, but after looking at all the stats, I decided to bump him down a bit, as in his 3rd best season, he managed to produce 31 goals and 12 assists, on his debut year for Los Blancos in 2003-04, a solid part of the Galacticos project heavily pushed by Florentino Perez, forming an incredibly strong team alongside the likes of Beckham and Zidane. He finished as La Liga's top scorer and also found the net in the finals of the Supercopa de España and the Intercontinental Cup, winning both of them. His silver medal did not take place in Spain, as for that we have to go back to Italy, in Milan, for the Nerazzurri in the 1997-98 season, the year of his famous Ballon d'Or win, being one of the youngest to ever win the trophy twice. He also became the second player to break the transfer record 2 times, as his move from Barcelona cost 27 million euros. Alongside the prize from France Football, he also won the Serie A Player of the Year and picked up the FIFA World Player of the Year. He was too shy of winning the Capocannoniere in Italy, scoring 25 goals, also netting in the final of the UEFA Cup against Lazio, winning the tournament as well. So you might be asking yourself, what can possibly beat this year? Well, his first Ballon d'Or season, 1996-97, certainly does make arguments. 47 goals and 13 assists at Barcelona, European Golden Boot, La Liga top scorer, and Copa America winner. Also scoring in the final of the Copa del Rey, winning the tournament. Until 2008, he remained the only player to have found the net more than 30 times in La Liga. At 20 years of age, he broke the record for being the youngest Ballon d'Or winner and youngest FIFA Player of the Year. During this campaign, he was regarded as the strongest player in the world. He wasn't the next big thing, he was already the big thing. Of course, his career turned out unfortunate with several injuries hindering him, but he remains one of the greatest forwards ever in the modern game. Speaking of flashy South Americans, this next one has etched one moment into history. Sergio Agüero. With 8 possible years to choose from, the results I've settled on are the following. 3rd place goes to a very iconic 2011-12 season. A lot of people remember that year for the final moment of the match day. But that doesn't take away an amazing campaign that he had, scoring 30 times and assisting 10 more. In his first 30 minutes on his Manchester City debut, he scored twice and secured an assist, only needing 3 games to get his first hat-trick at the club. Reminds me of a certain Norwegian cyborg. He got 20 league goals on his debut year, a feat not a lot of players achieved. He was shortlisted for the Ballon d'Or and won Player of the Year at Manchester City, also winning Goal of the Season for a strike against Norwich, and of course, the Premier League title, with that very famous moment. His 2nd place goes to the 2017-18 campaign, as he again scored 30, winning both the Premier League and the English League Cup. During the year, he became the top scoring non-European player in PL history when he netted his 124th goal and also marked his 350th career strike, claiming his 5th Premier League Player of the Month. Yeah, maybe the 3rd and 2nd place are interchangeable, but the important thing is who arrives first, which goes to the 2018-19 season, winning all the national trophies available, scoring a brace in the Community Shield to secure the trophy, and he would beat Shearer for the most Premier League hat-tricks, with 150 less matches, also entering the leaderboards for the top 10 all-time goal scorers in the Premier League. He became the 9th fastest player to hit 150 goals and only the 3rd to do so for one club. During the season, he would also score his 400th professional goal and become the club's all-time top scorer, so I think this definitely deserves the win for him. Agüero went on to achieve a lot more success with City before eventually transferring to Barcelona. It's sad to see that he was almost forced into retirement, but he's now having fun with lots of his side projects, which is great to see. Staying again in the Premier League, this time changing cities as we approach London. There's one player that's very fondly remembered. For 7 to 8 years he conquered the league, but he was never rewarded. Now seeking revenge in Germany. I am of course talking about Harry Kane. The English forward, well known for finding the back of the net, surprisingly didn't have the most possible seasons, as only 7 were deemed worthy enough to feature. Out of those 7, his 3rd best was in 2017-18, netting 41 times, including his first UCL hat-trick to Hapoel Nicosia. He beat Shearer for most goals in a calendar year, ending the season bagging 3 goals 8 times. He missed out on the golden shoe, having to settle for 2nd place, but he became the 2nd fastest player to net 100 league goals, behind the usual striker from Newcastle. Grabbing the silver medal would be in 2020-2021, 33 goals and 17 assists, showing off as a great playmaker aside from being a fantastic goal scorer. With his duo Heung-min Son, they became the first to combine for 4 goals in the Premier League. They also set the record for most combinations together with the South Korean. He made his 300th appearance and netted his 200th goal, winning the Golden Boot for the Prem and the Best Playmaker, becoming the first player to do so. But his first year in Germany also happens to take 1st place in this special list. 44 goals and 12 assists, first European Golden Shoe, top scorer in the Bundesliga and the Champions League, highest scoring Englishman in German history, matching another Bavarian legend for most strikes in the first half of the season in Robert Lewandowski, second English player to win the Golden Boot and made it into the team of the season. Unfortunately for Kane, there is not much speaking about trophies, but his individual stats already speak volumes about the fantastic player he is. And now, back to Spain we go, for the third time today and also the final player from Real Madrid, a Frenchman who waited on his chances to become the world's best. Slowly but surely, he conquered the peaks necessary before finally arriving where it counts. Karim "The Dream" Benzema, who's tied for the player with the second most potential candidates, having 9 of them. In all those occasions, he has had more than 35 goal contributions, but the podium can only be made up of 3. For the bronze medal, we find his 2011-12 year, scoring 32 goals and serving 19 assists, obviously at Real Madrid. In a campaign where they became Spanish champions, Benzema, who was in his 3rd season at Madrid, became only the 2nd player to win French Player of the Year while in Spain. He also became the top scoring Frenchman in La Liga history, overtaking a certain Zinedine Zidane, netting the fastest goal in El Clasico, needing only 21 seconds. Throughout the year, he scored 7 braces, which allowed Real Madrid to win the title for the first time in 4 seasons. Silver is handed to his 2022-23 campaign. 31 goals scored, winning several trophies including the Club World Cup and Spanish Cup, as he became captain of the team, also overtaking one of our previous features in becoming the 2nd all-time highest goal-scoring player for Real. He would score the 3rd fastest hat-trick in La Liga history with 3 goals in 6 minutes and 30 seconds. He also became the 2nd Real Madrid player to score a hat-trick at the Camp Nou, after the legendary Ferenc Puskás. By winning the Copa del Rey, he matched Marcelo's record as the most decorated player in club history with 25 trophies. But as you all probably have guessed, this was not enough to overtake his Ballon d'Or winning season in 2022. 44 goals, top scorer in La Liga, winner of the Champions League, the league title and the Spanish Super Cup. He became Real's vice-captain, also making a few appearances as captain, with the honour of being the first player since the aforementioned Raúl to score 3 goals with the armband, and also the 4th player to score 200 goals in La Liga for Real Madrid. He became the first individual to score in 17 consecutive CL campaigns, also netting his 100th CL goal in the meantime. He overtook Henry as the highest French goal scorer in club history matches, scoring his 300th goal in January. To add to the long list of records broken by the Frenchman, he became the oldest player to score a hat-trick at 34 years old, and became the all-time French goal scorer. With back-to-back hat-tricks in the knockout rounds of the CL, he became the 2nd player to do so. For the first time, he was named as the top scorer in La Liga and also won the charts in the Champions League with 15 goals, being also the player of the tournament. A few incredible achievements from a marvelous player such as him. Our next player is another Frenchman who we've already talked about before, but he's regarded by many as the greatest player to have ever featured in the English league. Even if he's not a pure striker, he's still considered as one of the best. That is why he's the only exception, an eternal gunner who played under some of the greatest managers. World Cup winner in 1998, Thierry Henry. Again, he's not one with the most good seasons as only 6 have been found, but his good campaigns have been brilliant. For 3rd place, we find the 2002-03 year where he contributed to 56 goals, scoring 32 himself at Arsenal. He won the FA Cup, being crowned man of the match in the final, also adding a Community Shield to his tally. He narrowly lost the Golden Boot to his rival Ruud van Nistelrooy by 1 goal, but made up for it with the PFA Player of the Year and FWA Player of the Year, only managing a runners-up for FIFA Player of the Year, with the award going to Zidane. He also set the record for most assists in a PL season and became the first player to score 20 goals and serve 20 assists in Europe's top 5 leagues. If that's how we started, I can't imagine how we'll continue. But I obviously can, because I'm the one writing this video. 2nd place, and again we find the 2008-09 campaign. 26 goals and 11 assists, helping Barcelona win a long-awaited treble, before becoming the first team to complete the sextuple, winning all available trophies. The first season for Guardiola on the Blaugrana's bench, forming a magical trio with Eto'o and Messi scoring 100 goals, but we've already mentioned that. They were also the most prolific trio in La Liga history, scoring 72 times, an unparalleled season, but it was not his best individually. Out of the possibilities, actually this was one of his lowest scoring years, but his capability in winning so many trophies with Barca playing a central role has to be talked about. However, now I'll give you a true season among the greats, a record-breaking one at that. The 2003-04 campaign, the so-called Invincibles year. During this season, Henry at Arsenal won the league unbeaten, scoring 39 goals and serving 15 assists. Took home the Golden Boot and the Premier League top scorer, and obviously, first team to go through a season unbeaten. He became the first player to win the Golden Boot twice in a row, and towards the end of the year was given the honor of becoming club captain. Nowadays, Henry is having fun with some side ventures, and it's great to see him do well. Finally, after what I must admit is a very long video, and I appreciate you for sticking with me, we have the last 3 players. On the podium, we can find someone that has played for a certain length of time in the Bundesliga, as we see the Polish goal machine Robert Lewandowski. He shares a similarity with Raúl and Benzema, that of having 9 entries on this list, with the 3 best one being his 2021-2022 campaign where he scored 50 goals. Only the second time that someone has reached 50 today, winning Golden Boot for the 2nd season in a row. Also crowned as the top scorer of the German league. He is the first player to score in 7 consecutive opening games in the Bundesliga, setting also a new record for most consecutive appearances with a goal at 16. He also surpassed the previous record of most consecutive home games with a goal, which was 12, becoming the fastest player to reach 80 goals, only needing 100 appearances to do so. He placed 2nd in the Ballon d'Or and was awarded Striker of the Year, scoring his 300th goal and breaking the record for the quickest hat-trick in CL history, with 3 goals in 11 minutes, also breaking the record for most away goals. His silver medal goes to 2020-2021. I believe he's the only player to not go under 30 goals in any of the podium places. This is also one of his lower years, as he only scored 48 times. He won the Golden Boot and was top scorer in Bundesliga. Bayern Munich won the Club World Cup, the League, the UEFA Super Cup and the German Super Cup. He was also the first player in the Bundesliga to score 10 goals in 5 matches, and only the 3rd to score 250 times in the German League, which led to him becoming the first Polish player to win FIFA Best Men's Player, and was on course to win the Ballon d'Or had it not been cancelled. Alongside Barcelona, he led Bayern to become the 2nd team to achieve the sextuple. Lewa also surpassed Raúl and became the 3rd highest goal scorer in the Champions League, overtaking Klaus Fischer as the 2nd all-time top scorer in Germany. He also became the player who scored the most league goals in a season with 41, surpassing the legendary Gerd Müller. This was also the 6th time in his career where he scored 40 goals in a season. Despite this magnificent year, first place has to go to 2019-2020. In a campaign where Bayern completed the treble, he won FIFA Best Player and UEFA Best Player, scoring his 200th goal for the Bavarians and the first player in Bundesliga history to hit double figures in his first 6 matches, also becoming the first to score in the opening 11 games of the season. Among other achievements, he also became the fastest to score 4 goals, the 2nd to do so in multiple games, won his first Champions League scoring in 9 out of 10 games, topping the scoring charts with 15 goals, and becoming also the 2nd player to win the treble and be the top scorer in all 3 competitions, the first to do so since Johan Cruyff in 1972. He closed the year out with 55 goals and 10 assists. Now, he is currently playing at Barcelona and is off to a great start, already achieving double figures this season. But it was not good enough to beat the player in front of him, also one of our first from Ligue 1. He has conquered countless clubs and his name still rings out whenever it's spoken. I'm talking of course about Zlatan Ibrahimović. The Swedish striker also has the most entries, beating everyone out with 10 of them. He's also the only player to whom I've given an honorable mention, not being able to decide, which is what I'll start off with. His 2016-17 year at Manchester United left me doubtful on more fronts. 28 goals and 10 assists might not sound like much, but he won the Europa League and the Community Shield, scoring in the final. He also added the League Cup to his name, breaking a surprising record, being the only player to win 10 Super Cups in 5 different countries. In November, he scored the 25,000th goal in the Prem, and at 35 years of age, he became the oldest player to manage at least 15 goals in the league, also scoring a brace in the EFL Cup final to win the tournament, being shortlisted for the Player of the Year. He would also make it into the Europa League Team of the Season. Now for the actual podium. 3rd place goes to 2013-14, where with 46 games he scored 41 goals and assisted 17 more. He was the league's top scorer, winning both the title and the Super Cup, marking the 2nd consecutive time he topped the charts for goals. He's the 8th fastest player to record a hat-trick and the 11th to score more than 4 times in the Champions League, also making his 100th CL appearance and named Ligue 1 Player of the Year for the 2nd time in a row. A record-breaking year, but Ibra was well accustomed to winning, as demonstrated in 2008-09 at Inter, where he was a Serie A top scorer, winning the league and the Super Cup, scoring a decisive penalty to close the game out against Roma. He also scored an incredible backheel shot that went on to win Goal of the Year. He was voted both Player of the Season and the Foreign Player of the Year. The Swedish striker was already used to finding the back of the net, and he will just continue proving so, achieving his best individual season in 2015-16 scoring 50 goals and assisting 20 more, winning the league as its top scorer alongside the League Cup and the French Super Cup. He became PSG's all-time top scorer both in club history and league history, and he also broke into the top 10 for appearances in the Champions League, becoming only the 14th player to score more than 50 times. With a poker of goals against Troyes in March, he scored his 100 league strike, and his 9-minute hat-trick during the game was named the fastest in Ligue 1. He was once again crowned Player of the Year, and he beat the club record of most goals scored in a seasonal campaign with 38, winning the French Golden Boot. He also showed up in the big games as he scored 2 goals and got an assist to win the Coupe de France against Marseille. Ibra's seasons were incredible and magical. His ability to score so many times despite playing in different clubs is proof of his incredible adaptability. But there can only be one winner. A South American who used to play for Barcelona, touted several times as the greatest striker of his generation. I'm kidding, it's Luis Suárez. El Pistolero would see 8 potential nominations, but the ones I decided to go with were his 2016-17 season, where he scored 36 goals and assisted a further 20, winning the Copa del Rey and the Spanish Super Cup, making his 100th appearance for Barcelona, also breaking the record for most goal contributions in his first 100 matches, beating Messi and Ronaldo. He was a key part in the MSN, who in their final season together scored 111 goals. For the first time, we have a league that is not in the top 5. A silver medal goes to his 2009-10 season, where he was playing at Ajax. 49 goals and 24 assists, top scorer in the competition, and he became captain at the Dutch club. The fans weren't new to the multiple times he scored 4 goals throughout the year. He was named both their Player of the Year and the Dutch Player of the Year, with some incredible performances, cementing his status as an incredibly interesting youngster. But the winner of this whole thing, in my opinion, goes to the 2015-16 campaign. Suárez in his second year at Barcelona scored 59 goals in what is a personal best, assisting again more than 20 times, proving to be as good as a playmaker as he is a goal scorer. He won the European Golden Boot and topped La Liga for goals, also winning the Club World Cup, the La Liga, the UEFA Super Cup and the Copa del Rey, scoring his 300th goal against Getafe and becoming the first player to score a hat-trick in the history of the Club World Cup. When he did so against Guangzhou Evergrande, he finished the tournament as its star player and top scorer. In April, Suárez scored 4 and assisted 3 in an incredible 8-0 win against Deportivo, scoring another 4 goals in the next match, becoming the only player in La Liga history to do so. He also became the second player in club history to score more than 35 goals in a single league campaign, winning his first Pichichi and his second Golden Shoe, dethroning Messi and Ronaldo, as he was the first since 2009 to win it against them. He became the first player to lead the charts both in goals and assists in La Liga, with the MSN trio scoring an incredible 131 goals. Suárez went on an unbelievable streak, finding the back of the net 14 times in his last 5 games. So that cements him as the winner. He's still playing, though admittedly among a lot of injuries, but he's having fun in the MLS with his friends Messi, Alba and Busquets. So, that closes it. Thank you guys for watching. A lot of work went into this video. I know it's probably much longer than my usual ones, but let me know your thoughts down below. Who do you think is the best striker of the 21st century? Again, this is just for fun. These personal rankings do not reflect in any way who I think is the strongest player. It's just a bit of fun that I thought I could transform into an interesting video. Anyway, thanks for watching and appreciate the support.